Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Duckpin Magic. I'm Mike Sello with me, Joe Rainier. We're in Baltimore, Maryland, and we're going to be watching the Women's National Duckpin Association, the Ladies Pros.
Mike, this is our 10th anniversary. We're going to start with 7, and we're going to find a champion here in 2 weeks.
All right, we'll meet our bowlers and get our first match underway for you coming up right after this. Once again, welcome back to Baltimore, Maryland, the Greenway Bowl East, the WNDA's portion of the Greenway Bowl Miller Lite Classic. Diane Jasper taking on Biondo in this first match.
Get up.
Nice shot. Start us off here today. And you take a look at Diane. She's starting to accumulate the stars, significant in representing various wins on the Women's Pro Tour.
You'll see why. She didn't give us too much time to say much about her, but when she comes up the next time, she'll be bowling 2 frames, and even if she throws strikes, we'll have a little more time, but quite a sheet.
Yeah, Biondo from Baltimore. She's got a high single of 209, high set of 569, average of 142. Chris still looking for her first Women's Pro Tour victory. Chris out of Baltimore, Maryland.
Currently ranked 11th in the country, Mike. That's not bad. That 142 average is real. Good bowler. Qualified many times on the tour.
Very familiar names that we'll be talking about in the upcoming 2 weeks of programs. We've got the top 7. Nearly 100 women pro bowlers who began the tournament. So Chris opens up with a couple of marks. Diane, who had the strike, will start the second frame here. Leaves the 5-7. We'll count on the second ball as well. Diane was runner-up 1 year ago.
Mike, it'd take most of this game to run down what Diane has accomplished with the duckpin ball. Of course, you can see the 7 stars, and that speaks for the 7 tour victories.
29 after 2. Joe, oftentimes we've often talked about the routine a bowler goes through before they bowl. Diane certainly has that. She does the same thing each and every time.
Has a very good rhythm to the line, a good pace, and does an excellent job of never overthrowing the ball. The ball is always working, and if you watch, she throws it at a speed, Mike, that you can see the turns on the ball, and they are constantly increasing as they head towards the target. If you watch with this ball, you'll see how it starts out sort of slow revolutions, and well, it got away to the right, but it's constantly increasing as it gets towards the pins. Qualified 44 times on the tour, which is the most of any of the ladies. Most ladder appearances with 24. And has not missed a tour in 10 years. That's amazing.
So Chris will step back in, holding a slight advantage early in the match. Should thank our scorekeeper, Joe. We usually put you to the task, but Theresa Belniak from the WNDA helping us out. Theresa, you have an official title? Treasurer.
We're going to call you scorekeeper. It really helps, Mike. It allows you to pay a little more attention to some statistics and watch what's going on the lanes.
About this time in the tournament, you become a very popular person, Theresa, don't you? Where's Theresa?
Oh, it happened rather quickly, Mike. You had the 278 standing here, you'll see.
Watch the pins mix at the end. Oop.
They all did their job. Diane Jasper, 4th frame.
Nice.
Now we'll get a replay on this. You'll see what I mean about the turns, the revolutions on the ball as it heads towards the target.
Yep, you saw she let the ball go on the right side of the head pin, cross right out in front of the head pin and right into that pocket.
Duckpin Magic moves to further action in the same match.
Chris, 75 plus in the 5th. Diane Jasper, 64.
Watch out.
Got fortunate on that hit, leaving the number 1 pin. Mike, we're down to 7 out of 93 entries this weekend.
Biondo picked it up nicely.
Took advantage of the opportunity, Mike. A good break.
She only had the 1 open frame, that in the 3rd. She opened up with 2 spares, 1 open, strike, spare, spare, through 6 as Diane Jasper steps in for her portion of the 6th, and then the 7th frame. Nice. Saw that one all the way.
I tell you, Mike, she just showed you 2 frames ago a strike in the left pocket, and when you can strike, and you'll see here on the replay, when you can strike from both sides of the head pin, then you have an effective ball. If you actually can say to yourself, well, I'm not too fortunate when I hit the left pocket, then you should be thinking about moving on the approach, because you just cannot give away that much of the game, and you have to be effective anywhere between the 2 and 3. And I think all the good ones are.
Same spot, a little different result. An opportunity for the mark here in the 7th frame.
Appeared to me the speed on that was up a notch, Mike. It was an old set of bowling balls. They've been around a long time. I doubt that Diane started with that set of bowling balls. They were around before she was.
Strike spare for Diane, and trying to continue the string of marks is Chris Biondo as she steps in.
Diane closed things up, striking the 6th, spare in the 7th. 94 plus this ball for Chris. 2, 4, and 6, 7 count, and 101 in the 6th to 84 and a 17-pin lead. But Diane has a mark in the 7th. Chris will go for the spare here, I'm sure.
Nice try.
It's a good gamble at that point, Mike. 17-pin lead, and your opponent has a mark. Fortunate enough to make it, you can sort of silence things a little bit, get the momentum back on your side.
Well, Chris has been right on target with everything throughout the match.
2 splits. She had the 3-8 in the 2nd frame, and she just shot the 2-4-6, the only 2 open frames she's had.
Things will tighten up in the 7th frame. 110, Chris Biondo to 89 plus a ball for Diane Jasper. Through the middle she goes.
Have an opportunity here, Mike, for the 2 open frames in a row, which when you're bowling head-to-head, you really try to stay away from the consecutive open frames when you have a lead on your opponent. It's like saying, here I am, come get me. Tough frame.
Yep. Counts 8, 118, and now with Diane stepping in, she can take direct aim at the lead here.
That's certainly true when your opponent's Diane Jasper, and every time she steps on the approach, you have to look at these 7 stars.
Leaves the 8 pin. .110, 103 in the 7th. Just a 7-pin match. Missed it. If she can pick up this pin, it'll be 5 pins difference between Chris Biondo and Diane Jasper. 118, 113 after 8.
Big frame for Diane, Mike. 5 down, 9th frame.
Two other bowlers scheduled on today's program, Theresa Vermillion and Kathy Boswell, 5th and 4th seeds respectively. Push through the middle. The winner of today's program, Survivor, will move on to the Final 4 show next week. They'll be joined by Betty Caputo, Lynn Heller, and Pat Loomis, as we will crown a champion. Nice shot.
What a try. What a try. Slid behind the 2 and then came in front of the 2. A little tough luck, really. She put the ball where she wanted it. She'll be 123 through 9 if she hits this pin.
Exactly what she has, and in steps Chris Biondo, who gets to bowl 9 and 10 before turning it back over to Diane Jasper for the 10th frame.
A couple marks here. She can close her out. With 1 spare in the 2 frames and a count, Mike, she can put Diane on a double. Yep.
Nope.
As it is with just wood, a couple, 9 or 10 frames, she'll have Diane on a mark, so. You have to be thinking at this point, I cannot give Diane a chance to beat me.
Nope. 7 frame.
And all of a sudden,
It's a 2-pin match. Anything can happen here.
what you'd like to do is go spare 9, and 19 would give you 44 and make Diane double.
Well, let's see what happens. Chris Biondo bowling in the 10th frame. Ooh.
Certainly right now you want to hit one of these pins. One pin will make Diane mark. No sense in getting fancy here. I don't know, Mike. Would you try to slide that over with the first one, knowing that you can hit a pin with the second one? Or I'm not sure. Because if you would happen to tilt it over and put 9 on, like I say, the bowler's then on a double.
Well, Chris went after the first one, misses the second one, but she leads it by 11 pins. And so Diane Jasper will need a mark to enable her to catch up and surpass Chris Biondo and move on to our next match. 10th frame. How about that?
Didn't take long.
Boy, that ball was deep in the pocket.
4 strikes, Mike, that
Yep.
game.
They all went down, and that was on the left side, the Brooklyn side of the head pin, and saw her strike on both sides.
Threw 4 strikes, and there was 2 on each side, and all 4 of them very powerful type strikes.
That's it.
Just wanted to stay behind the line. She makes the 310 here, give her 143.
So Diane Jasper will move on to our next match, and her hopes to add to that collection of stars that she has continues. Watch out. Ooh. And that is it. 142-134. Diane Jasper wins it. She'll continue, and we'll continue right after this. Match number 2 today on Duckpin Magic. Diane Jasper taking on Theresa Vermillion. And Diane has been forced to go first, as Theresa, the higher of the 2 seeds, gets the option. So Diane starts on the left-hand lane, fresh off that 8-pin win over Biondo. One more match on today's show to look forward to. The winner of this one. Wow. I think both of those pins ended up moving a little bit, didn't they, Joe?
Hopefully,
She's shaking her head there a little bit, yeah.
I think they separated a little,
Yeah.
so that you really don't need that in your mind when you're shooting a 2-pinner.
Well, it's not your traditional 2-pinner, I don't think.
We have a phobia against those anyway.
Right in the spot she wanted it. As I was saying, the winner of this match will move on to face our number 4 seed, Kathy Boswell. So here's Theresa stepping in. First time today we've taken a look at her. Harwood, Maryland resident. Theresa and Diane, certainly no strangers to each other, and we have the distinction, Joe, of Duckpin Magic having the top ranked and the second ranked national women's duckpin bowler on the show today.
I would have to think that it would make you grit your teeth just a little.
They also battle it out locally to have their own local leadership.
Nice 10.
Theresa was WNDA Rookie of the Year in 1983. High single of 213 in her career, high set of 543. She's got a win to her credit.
Three, 6. Second frame. Nice shot.
Yep, nicely done, and it's off and running after an open frame in the first. Picks up the spare in the second, and Diane Jasper will step back in. Diane holds the 3-game world record. Is that still a record, Joe, or is that that's a current record? 586 for 3 games. 5-game world record holder of at 870. 8-game world record of 1343, and a women's world record average of 151.
Big numbers, Mike. That's big numbers.
I think it took me 36 weeks in the league bowling to hit the 1343, but I think that's a world record on the negative side, though.
Good thing you had some good games in there, Mike.
Diane goes 2 for 2. 2 frames, 2 marks here in the second match.
Both these bowlers, Mike, are the type of bowlers that if they can get comfortable and they find the line, they're going to run some out. You have some pretty good strings of marks here. They can do the same thing ball after ball. which makes them number 1 and 2 in the country.
Watch out.
You wouldn't think you could cause all that action when you roll the ball as easy as Diane does. And both of them have just about the same tempo, the speed of the ball, and it's amazing. Just proof what we preach week in and week out. It's really not the speed, it's that makes you effective.
Right on the nose. Another mark for Diane, 3 in a row, 3 spares in a row to start the match. Theresa will step back in. Theresa, a world record holder in her own right on the women's side, 4-game world record of 6:92, 4-game world record mixed, 13:25. There's a strike.
Duckpin Magic now moves to further action in this same match.
All of our bowlers today and next week, the top 7 seeds in the tournament, had outstanding head-to-head marks. They were all 4 and 1 in their respective divisions.
Very unusual, Mike. It usually goes down to 3 and 2, or at least 3.5 and a half.
And then seeded on the ladder by pinfall. Is that correct, Theresa? Yeah, for the top 4. So Theresa with a mark in the 6th, and Diane looking to put a big fill on her mark from the 5th.
Another strong ball, the number 7 remaining. 10-pin lead, 86-76. Who led the ladies qualifier? A lot of distance between her and the 2nd. She put on quite a performance Saturday in the qualifying. 11.93. Just a few pins short of 150.
Diane picks up another mark. She started in the first frame and hasn't let up 6 in a row. All spares. Theresa looking on.
Is there any relief in sight? Chopped a 2-8 on this lane the last time and converted. Left it hang, got a little quick. Her footwork got her there quick and sort of drug that ball through that time. Didn't get the good pop on it. Stayed right, knocked out the 3, 5, and 4. Or what'd she knock out there, Mike? 3, 4, 5, and 9. I got it.
About a 14-pin differential here, although Theresa will have an opportunity to fill in her portion of the frame with the spare that she had.
First
Diane,
open.
Yeah, Diane opened and after 6 frames in the 7th, 108 for Diane Jasper.
Big ball here, Mike. Chance to turn things around and actually take the lead for the first time in the match with a count and a mark.
See what Theresa does here.
Left it hang out.
Yep.
You could see it. I did that a lot of times this weekend myself. .68 lanes, Mike. We had got 300 professional bowlers here, and I know because of the size of the establishment, I didn't see a lot of them. It was. We're on lane 61 and 62. Nice 10.
10-pin advantage for Diane Jasper as we enter the 8th frame. See Diane looking on.
Probably sitting there trying to talk herself into a strike. Good ball. A little snug in the left pocket. 6:10 remaining.
WNDA celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. I mentioned earlier in the show, Joe, that Diane has not missed a tournament in those 10 years of the WNDA, and that is quite a streak.
Between 50 and 60 tours, I would say. You know, you mentioned anniversaries. Can I say happy birthday to my daughter, Allison? Just tell me I can.
Yes, that's fine.
I'm going to do that.
Not going to give Allison's bad say.
Happy birthday, Allison.
Wow, there's a strike.
Told you she was sitting there talking herself into that. I wish I could find out what she said to herself, you know?
Take a look again. Time on the right side of the head pin, and they all go down.
Mike, the secret to her game is that if you watch, she always has pins moving, and they're down, they're sideways, and they're moving back and forth. Trips a lot of pins out, and even the clean strikes that we've watched her throw in the first match, the pins are laying. It comes from just that she's very good at keeping the speed down and the revolutions up, and if you can do that, you're going to move a lot of pins. Watch her hand, the position of her hand as the ball starts down from the backswing. She stays right under it and behind it.
Yep. That time just picked the 7-pin off.
Even the best.
Be open.
Even the best overshoot the 2-pinner sometimes, Mike. And it's aggravating to knock the back one off because we know mentally that we're not 100% focused on that front pin.
Well, we're back in a situation where Theresa, with a big fill on this spare, can close the gap.
Oh, wow. Not much you can do about that. Perfect execution, delivered the ball into the 1-2 pocket, good pin action, and most bowlers call that the house special, regardless of the house. It's everybody's house special.
Certainly not the time in this match that she wanted to do that. She'll be open in the 9th frame with either a 125 or a 126, depending on whether she picks this pin up.
That's a big pin, Mike. Believe me, it was a big pin. If she hits that, she's 126. If she goes spare, strike, or strike spare, she's 146, and then Diane needs 10, and that's not always easy. Now she has a situation where she really needs a double. Strike spare is going to give her 45, and 9 is not always easy, but...
Well, let's see what happens. 10th frame action. The winner will face off against Kathy Boswell in our next match. Oh,
wow.
There it is again.
She deserved a little better fate in this game. She's had the 5, 7, 10 twice, the 9, 10, and that's 3 frames gone. If she doesn't make this, it's over. We have a winner. Diane Jasper.
So Diane will move on to take on Kathy Boswell. It's a matter of what the final score will be here, as number 1 has triumphed over number 2, at least as far as the national rankings in this match are concerned. We'll stay here for a moment while we watch Diane finish up. Wow. It's called Killer Instinct.
Pretty impressive. Well, you know what? It comes from the routine. You don't know that you've won. You know, you're doing the same thing ball after ball. And here you'll see, it's gone. See if she can do it again. 147 plus. She had 6 spares and 2 strikes.
One more ball upcoming. Up in the mid 150s. Their score is finally tabulated here. And 10 more, and it's 157-134. Diane Jasper over Theresa Vermillion. We'll be back with more after this. Our third and final match on today's Duckpin Magic features Kathy Boswell, our number 4 seed, taking on Diane Jasper, winner of 2 straight. Kathy will opt to bowl first, residing North Kingstown, Rhode Island. Actually, repronounce that North Kingston, Rhode Island. For those folks up in the Providence area watching on WLNE TV. She has a high current single of 258, a high set of 548. Her highest league average has been 144. She's number 5 in the national rankings, and she has 4 Pro Tour victories to her credit, Joe. That single of 258 is way up there.
I had a lot of marks in that game, Mike.
You one would imagine, yeah. And one of her stops was last year's Grand Prix event, so the year-ending event for the WNDA. And here's Diane Jasper.
Another both bowlers, just very solid competitors. Good head-to-head bowlers, just all round.
Not what she wanted out of that, but
well,
fortunately, her opponent, Kathy Boswell, opened in the first, so Diane will try to recover here.
she gets slowed down, get the ball back up to the head pin.
She had enough motion down there.
2, 6, and 10 remaining. What do you do, Mike? You shoot the 2 or? She'll shoot 2.
Yeah, I gave it a try there. So 9-8 after 1 frame. So Diane beat out Kathy at one of the stops last year. Kathy Boswell finishing second in that tournament. She has currently got the second place finishes on the WNDA behind Diane, as a matter of fact, with 4. And there's another prime example, Joe. You get bowler with 4 victories, 4 second place finishes. Again, that proves that you can't win unless you're there, and sometimes it does take a little learning episode as to what to experience in that championship match.
Diane, what, 7 wins and 7 semi-seconds? Where's Diane? 6, 7 and 6. So it does hold true. $19 after 2 frames. Get them fired up here in a minute, Mike. Gonna get some pins flying.
Interestingly enough, that 258 came in the in WNDA competition. It's actually 1 pin higher than the men's Pro Tour single high of 257.
How'd I know you were gonna say that?
Because we've been doing these TV shows together for too long.
Could be forever. That's a long time, isn't it? Okay, the 10 pin remaining.
Talk about your world records. Diane has a bunch. Kathy has 1 for 10 games. And she's got the world record mixed doubles with Tom Licio of 1020.
That's 3 games apiece. 170 they averaged combined. Probably won a couple of those games.
You would think so. 61 is the lane. Kathy drops 9, leaves the 10 pin.
Very similar styles if you watch, as far as delivering the ball, the speed of the ball, the roll of the ball. Of course, Kathy uses much less of the approach. She's at the first row of dots and takes 4 or 3 steps really. 1, 2, 3. It's the number 10. First mark in the game, 3rd frame for Kathy Boswell.
Winner of this match will graduate to next week's Final Four show. First match on that show will be the winner of this match against Betty Caputo. Lynn Heller awaits the winner of the first match next week as the number 2 seed, and Pat Loomis sitting on top as the top seed, waiting for everybody else to determine who's going to bowl her for the championship.
Not a bad place to be sitting, Mike. It's, you know, they talk about it being tough to win from that position, and I don't know if I agree. It's a game, and you're only bowling one game, and if it happens to be your game, then you can win from that position. We have some statistics here that Theresa has given me, and it says, what's the best spot to be in? 25 victories from the number 1 seed, 9 victories from the 2 seed, 8 victories from the 3rd seed, amazingly 6 victories from the wild card, and it looks like you really would rather not be 4th, as they've only won 2. I tell you, that's an amazing. I'd have lost money. 25 victories from the number 1 seed.
And that's, on the surface, you know, it seems like that's overwhelming, but if you add up the rest of those numbers, it adds up to be 50-50. 25-1 from the number 1 seed, 25-1 from other seeds.
So you really only have a 50-50 chance because you're right. I like that. That's good, Mike.
That's a
50-50 is not a bad shot.
No, I'd take my chances.
Diane struck, 4th frame.
Yeah. First mark for her in this match. After opening the last one, she had 6 straight marks to open the match. This time she goes 3 open and gets the strike in the 4th frame.
6-pin lead through 3 as Kathy has 35, Diane 29. Of course, Diane with a strike in the 4th. Kathy shooting the 310 here in the 4th frame. She's got a shot. Nice shot.
More
Fit it
than a
right
shot.
between
Yeah,
them.
she's got the mark 2 in a row now.
Duckpin Magic moves to further action in this same match.
And the 9-pin just tipped over sideways and took the 10 with it.
Kathy starts right just about center of the lane and drifts a little left. And if you watch, the ball actually is lined up with the head pin when she comes through. Gives her both pockets. As we mentioned before, you've got to be able to score in both the 1-2 and the 1-3 pocket, and both of these bowlers do it very well.
First strike in the match for Kathy. She does have 2 spares to go along with that.
The middle.
Yep. Well, the advantage is that she is working on the strike. She's got a second ball to help count here. She's holding a slight lead in the match.
She'll shoot the 3-6-10. It's a 3 on the right. Quite often we have a favorite side, Mike, in that situation, and if she weren't, I would think she'd probably still shoot it, but if she were not on a strike and the 2-4 happened to be her favorite side, she probably would have shot the left side. Being on a strike, you have to go for the most pins.
So she counts 9 in the frame, 87 after 7.
Diane with a chance to take the lead for the first time since frame 2, way back when it was 1917. Big ball, working on a spare, 68 plus. Hung it right again.
Yep, and she turned away right away after she delivered the ball.
Not at all happy with that particular delivery. Pop that one. 4, 6, 10 remaining. Did not take advantage of the opportunity.
One last ball here in the 7th frame. Counts 9, and we have an 8-pin differential. Kathy Boswell holding that advantage, which has grown from 3 pins. Still a very close match as we enter the last 3 frames. Diane Jasper and Kathy Boswell going at it. An attempt to find out who moves into the Final Four show next week. Little tight.
No one can get it going, Mike. Two 7 remaining as she goes for 10. Got it. 89 in the 8th, 87. And Kathy has an opportunity here, bowling 2 frames, the 8th and 9th frames, to put a little pressure on Diane.
She can't increase her lead. She'll bowl 8 and 9. Diane will get up and bowl 9 and 10. And Kathy will come back and finish. Nice shot. Yeah, nice shot as she drops 9, leaves the 7-pin. Looking to pick up a mark here, which will increase her lead. Got it.
I think she was too sure when she let that go. It was trying to head left. Caught about half the pin. Big ball, 9th frame, 8-pin lead, and counting.
Let's see what happens as Kathy Boswell. Watch out. That almost was the same as the strike she had before, where the 9-pin just toppled sideways and dropped the 10-pin off the pin deck.
Strong ball. Both these bowlers very smooth. You can hardly hear the ball touch the lane when they deliver it. She had a little trouble with the 10 early. Let's see. Bullseye. No trouble that time.
Yep. That big fill and the 2 marks. She's holding a 17-pin advantage.
And has a count, Mike. That's the big thing. Her mark is on the board in the 9th. Diane needs a couple marks in a hurry.
Look at that. I thought it was going to push through the middle, and with a little pin action, a little help.
Tight hit, good speed, good lift on the ball, and here you'll see it. See, under it, down and out.
Yeah, you really could see the ball drive through and take some pins with it. Big time strike there.
Actually, she needs another one. If she were just to spare, it'd be 109 and strike be 129, and I don't think 129 is going to be enough. Looking for a double, 10th frame. 5-9.
Oh, she got? Yep, puts the mark up on the board. 119 plus.
Kathy's already 116 plus in the 9th, but we've seen funnier things happen, Mike. If Diane goes into the mid-120s, 128 with a 9 count, Kathy'd have to stay away from disaster anyway. Couldn't afford a chop. 126.
Okay, so Kathy Boswell.
6 on's a winner.
Yep. We can send Diane Jasper to the sidelines right here.
looks good. $130.
That's it. So Kathy Boswell will move on to face off against Betty Caputo, and we'll have that match for you upcoming next week. Kathy will finish out with her last ball here. Picks it up.
133 plus, Mike, and a nice finish. Spares in the 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yep, strong finish. Get off to a rough start. Threw a strike in good measure in the 6th frame, and strung together some marks in the last couple of frames as she lays them all down with that ball, and she finishes up with a 143. 17-pin differential here. Kathy Boswell wins it. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this. Three exciting matches, and Joe, next week we're looking for 3 more here in Baltimore.
Yes, we'll have Kathy Boswell back as she tries to climb that ladder to the championship, Mike.
All right, it's the Final Four show, the show where you get to give away all that money. We like to do that. And for Joe Rainier, I'm Mike Sella. See you again next time here on Duckpin Magic.